Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to recap an exciting movie. The film, upon its release, was rated by a magazine as one of the greatest horror films of all time. Even for someone like me, who has seen countless movies, I felt a profound sense of bone-deep fear after watching it. Among the many newly released Western horror films, it stands out as a superior work, and it is one of the few that can evoke genuine chills and provoke deep thought in Eastern audiences as well. The story begins with the protagonist, Elisabeth, grappling with anxiety about her appearance and a crisis in her career. At 53, Elisabeth has been a leading figure in aerobics programs at a Hollywood streaming network for years. However, one day, she accidentally overhears her manager in the restroom discussing with a headhunter the search for younger, more attractive aerobics talent, aiming to replace her as she ages. Upon learning this, Elisabeth's anxiety about her looks intensifies, and she senses the looming threat to her career. Staring at her large poster on the roadside, she is consumed by worrying. In that distracted moment, she is unfortunately hit by a car. Truly, misfortune does not come alone. Elisabeth is left dazed from the impact and is subsequently taken to the hospital by the police. Fortunately, after examination, the doctor confirms she has no serious injuries aside from some abrasions, and after giving her the all-clear, he allows her to be discharged. At this point, a handsome male nurse intentionally lingers and discreetly passes Elisabeth a secret. It isn't until she leaves the hospital that she discovers a USB drive he secretly placed in her pocket, claiming it could change her life. Earlier, the nurse had conducted an unauthorized examination of her back and mentioned that she was a good candidate, which left Elisabeth feeling quite puzzled, but he didn't provide any further details. Once home, driven by curiosity, Elisabeth plugs in the USB, which is labeled with the name of a certain substance. The video on it claims that this substance, when injected, can unlock DNA, allowing a person to split into a better, younger version of themselves. Much like in The Matrix, each person can be active for 7 days, while the other must remain dormant for 1 to 7 days. Then, they must switch. The active one goes to sleep, while the dormant one can live a normal life. However, one crucial point to remember is that they are one person and cannot escape from each other, just as one cannot escape from oneself. After much hesitation, Elisabeth looks at her aging reflection in the mirror and recalls her childhood dream of becoming a world-renowned star. Ultimately, she steels herself and makes the call. Soon, she receives an address and a card with just the number 503 on it. She hires a car to take her to a dilapidated neighborhood. After finding the address through a half-raised roll-up door, she locates locker 503, swipes her card, and discovers a prepared package inside. The woman brought it home and, upon opening the box, found all the necessary tools, including syringes. Elisabeth examined her reflection in the mirror, determined to inject the mysterious catalyst in pursuit of youth and beauty. However, after the injection, she noticed no change in her appearance, which made her feel somewhat relieved and amused, thinking that this mysterious substance was merely a prank by someone. As Elisabeth turned to leave, she suddenly felt dizzy and collapsed, her body undergoing intense changes. An unknown substance began to writhe on her back. Attempting to break free, through Elisabeth's eyes, one could clearly see a pair of blue eyes forming. Indeed, her back split open, and the substance took effect, separating like a surgeon, while a new body rapidly generated inside. The events described in the video were unfolding. The DNA had been unlocked, and through complex internal biological reactions, a brand new human was about to emerge. This new individual later named herself Sue, possessing Elisabeth's memories and talents. At that moment, she curiously examined her new body, plump, radiant, and beautifully contoured. Sue admired her reflection for a long time, thoroughly pleased. Finally, she stitched up the opening on Elisabeth's back, one stitch at a time, and injected the remaining white liquid into Elisabeth's body. Elisabeth mumbled, and the doctor confirmed that there were still vital signs. After tidying up, Sue couldn't help but gaze at her young, beautiful self in the mirror. Suddenly, she felt dizzy, experienced ringing in her ears, and had a nosebleed. Sue quickly located the remaining tools, which included a syringe and several storage tubes, and immediately realized what she needed to do. She inserted the syringe into Elisabeth's back, extracting the white liquid that had formed inside her, and injected it into her own body, instantly returning to normal. This meant that Sue could enjoy 7 days of freedom. Thus, she left the dormant Elisabeth behind and went to Elisabeth's company for an audition as an aerobics host. Before Sue arrived, Two interviewers had been joking about how the previous candidate's posture was off. However, upon seeing Sue, their eyes widened and they showered her with compliments, quickly moving her to the final interview stage with the general manager himself. Unsurprisingly, Sue was successfully hired, but she made one request: to take 7 days off every 7 days, claiming it was to care for her mother in the countryside. In reality, this was in accordance with the rules of The Substance, as Sue and Elisabeth had to switch every 7 days to continue. The manager not only accepted her request but also viewed her filial piety as a great selling point. Thus, with Elisabeth's memories, talents, and youthful beauty, Sue quickly became the leading figure of the network's aerobics program, rising as a new star in the entertainment industry. Naturally, Sue was very satisfied, which was exactly what Elisabeth had hoped to see. One day, Sue suddenly felt dizzy and experienced ringing in her ears. She realized she had been active for 7 days, and it was time to switch. Sue hurriedly found the doorman Elisabeth at home and connected the two of them with an IV line. Soon, the switch was complete. Sue entered sleep mode while Elisabeth became active. 7 days later, Elisabeth returned to the office, only to find that the manager had already packed her things and was firing her on the spot because he had found a better Sue. Elisabeth then took the time to visit the mysterious locker 503 to retrieve new medication to extend Sue's time in sleep mode for another 7 days. Once Sue was back in active mode, her career flourished, and she flirted with many handsome guys, even bringing some of them home. Just as Sue was about to enjoy herself, she suddenly felt dizzy and experienced ringing in her ears again. She realized that, without realizing it, 7 days had passed. She should have gone to switch with the doorman Elisabeth, but would Sue really let the handsome guy at the door slip away? Sue made an excuse to go to the bathroom and struggled for a long time, the first time she had ever thought about violating the 7-day switch rule. Looking at the storage jar in the trash can, she steeled herself and drew a vial of white liquid from Elisabeth's back, planning to extend her own active time. The handsome guy waiting on the couch was dozing off, and suddenly, a revitalized Sue returned to his lap, more beautiful and captivating than ever. When Elisabeth woke up after the switch, she looked around the messy living room and noticed a note from Sue on the wall saying she had delayed the switch last night because she had drunk too much. However, Elisabeth discovered that her right index finger had aged significantly, looking nothing like the hand of a 53-year-old woman. She thought it was just dirty, but no matter how hard she scrubbed, she couldn't restore it to its pre-aging state. Touching the needle mark on her back, she immediately understood everything. Sue's selfishness and violation of the rules were the real horror of the situation. The two were interdependent, but if one person wanted to live longer outside, the other's life would be in danger. However, at that moment, Sue still didn't know that the white catalyst generated in the doorman Elisabeth's body was limited. They had to switch to continuously produce the catalyst, allowing both of them to survive. Yet, under the temptation of fame and fortune, the story was headed in a different direction.